we're heading down to a creek crossing, and we're coming through this edge right here, going down, well, to a suspected creek crossing, but we're pretty sure. And these things that you can find like this will help the puzzle that's being involved with the creek crossing. And this is a community scrape, and it's it's an older one, a nice one. They've been several bucks hit this. You can still see the remnants of one scrape here, and part of one here, and one here. And you can, if you look at all these licking branches that have been broken over the years, so these is a area that's year to year sign. They've used it all the time. Every deer that walks by here, I don't care if it's June, July, whatever, they're gonna put their head in here somewhere and leave their gland scent. So these things help with your determination of how and when they're using creek crossing and stuff like that, and what type of deer is in the area. So, but this is a good community scrape, multiple licking branches. I mean, they broke so many of them off, it ain't even funny. So, but it's always something to check and look at when you come back do your pre-check right before seasons, is to look for active stuff. So, but this is a good sign right here, and right over to the back side of it is a rub on a pine tree. But you can see this edge, and edges that go along with creek crossings, bluff gaps, etc. The more things, like you'll hear me say this 50 times, you'll get tired of it. The more edges, the more changes, more habitats within a habitat, the better. More diversity, as people say. So this is a prime example of looking for this stuff like this. So it's cool. It's the history of it. How long the deer have been doing this for 20 years, I guess. That beech tree's probably 30 years old, I guess, or so. So they grow a little bit slow, but anyway, it's a good sign. So we're heading on down. The premise behind creek crossing scouting is two or three different theories. One is you can find fresh tracks if they've crossed here lately, and that makes you try to come up with a plan of why they're crossing there, when they're crossing there. So to look for specific hunting areas, you can find, like right now, we're specifically hunting for a big buck. That's what everybody's go with, a big buck. Right now we're looking for a big track. You're also going to find community crossings, does and fawns where they'll cross that, and buck's not always going to use that except for specific times of the season, rut, pre-rut. And so what I try to do is I'll keep a camera with me, extra camera, my phone to mark these places. And then if I want to put a camera up to see what's going on during the next season, because I'll put my cameras up and leave them, mark them on my phone, leave them, and just see what's going on if it's an interesting place. So why are deer going to cross this creek crossing right here? It's kind of an oxbow area. You got 2 or 3 different fingers up here that lead down that's in like a dark woods type habitat. Then on this side is very diverse. Say a half a mile away, there's some area of thick pine mix with some thinning and some cutover in a different little area. So any deer that want to try to maneuver from one place to other are going to use this. So, but why would they use this place is what you're trying to find out. Why is it because it's an oxbow area, or is it because there's a bluff or something that's making them cross here? But so once you find tracks crossing the creek, mark them like I say. Then when you get back to where you can look at your laptop, computer, you can even look on your phone while you're down here. I use my phone to save a hard map of the area that I'm scouting. Then I'll mark these places, crossings, and look for, as we go on up, to change levels to looking at little edges and funnels that could come to this that would force deer to cross here or make them tend to. We're going to look for scrapes, rubs, maybe some older droppings, tracks, trails, and things like that. Then we'll also maneuver to smaller branches that are funneling to this big branch, and see if we can find any kind of slack crossing. Because, like I say, to find these big buck, you got to find his track. So right now, if we can find his track, you'll find kind of his core area within a mile or two, but figure out why they're doing it, what they're using it for, if it's because there's a lot of security here, or is it because there's multiple food sources around here, or what. So that's what we're doing. So we found a fresh track. It rained yesterday, and we got this little small creek above another creek, and where some edges come together, and we found a track, fresh track, kind of a sliding right here crossing this small creek. These are my favorite little spots because it's an isolated little spot that's kind of out of the way, and we've got a fresh track. So this will be a prime place to put a camera and to see what happens later, maybe even during the season. I mean, you find as many of these as you can, because not all of them is going to be the actual one for a buck, but this one is cool. I really like it because, like I say, it's got the edges. You know, the more things you can find, I'm a player of odds. The more things you can find that'll push a deer by you, the better. I'm not hunting specifically for a individual buck, but the places where you got more opportunities, or can possibly have more opportunities, where things will force them. So this is higher up with the edge. Good morning place right here. So I would hunt this in a heartbeat. So this is just another example of a creek crossing. So these smaller ones are sometimes harder to find the track, especially with the leaves and stuff. But this deer messed up and slipped a little bit, so it's a fresh track heading that way. So we know it's kind of a thinned area up there, so possibly a bedding area on the higher part. So, but the camera will tell what time, if it's nighttime or daytime. But anyway, it's fresh. So you got me talking? You gonna do it?
Hit him with that crow call.
Hey, while you're out scouting, it's basically turkey season, so we're gonna check some turkeys out.
Not one stinking turkey. Not a stinking turkey.
If there was a turkey here, it would reply to that. Hey, I've got the best natural crow call there are. You hear it, crow? Oh, it's a 737. Excuse me. I'm not doing any blooper thing. Hey, Luke, is that too cheesy?
The audio's still on, so I may use that. I feel mine.